I'm bored, Calvin. That's why I wanted to get
bored.
you on the podcast.
I see.
I'm feeling like I'm in a period of creative kind of stasis. Like I'm treading water, if you know what I mean. I feel like the last few months it's very much been steady, but not very much the same.
I guess that happens with creativity though, doesn't it?
Well, when was the last time that happened for you?
Probably at the start of lockdown, because you were given so much free time all of a sudden, and it was then like this overwhelming pressure of, oh well, now I've got all this free time, I should be able to fill it with non-stop creativity. But then that pressure of being like, okay, you have to be creative, just then gets rid of all kind of emotion and creativity you can have.
I think that's different from music as well, though, because music's something that you have to wait to come to you, and you have to try and then get that out. Whereas if you're doing something like this, well, that's one of the things I do quite like about this, is you can kind of do it all the time. As long as you're able to keep getting guests coming in, you can keep being creative. Okay,
yeah. Well, I guess as well, you've got the advantage of each guest is something new, and it can be fresh and totally different from like one another.
I think that's part of the problem to an extent, though. As I think I'm kind of getting a little bit tired of it just being songwriters every episode.
Right. Okay.
Because you're in a ballpark, even though every guest is different. The confines are still there, and you do find you kind of hit on some of the same notes. Fairly frequently.
Yeah, I guess.
How did you get out of your period of creative stasis last year then?
I think I just tried to not think about it, and get rid of that pressure that I put on myself. Like, came from nowhere else other than within, you know? Yeah, just trying not to think about it. And like you said, the way that music comes to you naturally and organically, like, let that happen instead of, like, I mean, it's all good and well to maybe like give yourself a time period where you think, I'll sit down and write something, but at the same time, I mean, you're still kind of confining yourself into a box there, you know, and it can make it difficult. Yeah. Especially, I think the pressure, I mean, some people thrive off of pressure. I'm definitely not that person. So this is just my experience, you know.
Who do you know that thrives off of pressure?
Jack White. Everything I've said, he'll go completely against. He'll put himself in the smallest box with the most amount of restrictions he can think of.
Well, his whole thing is about threes, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think for the White Stripes it was. I don't know how it is with his solo stuff, but yeah, he put himself in, or give himself so many restrictions that he's forced to create something with so little, which I guess that can work, you know, and it makes sense in that scenario.
Until it runs its course.
Yeah, which is what
happened with White Stripes.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I guess that's also a two-piece thing, isn't it? Two pieces always end up building on it and becoming not so much of a two-piece anymore, which isn't always a bad thing.
What did you think of the last Royal Blood album?
I guess I like that it went into quite a different direction, because the second album was just like it was like all the stuff from the first album that wasn't used.
Is the Room on Fire?
Is the Room on Fire?
It's
Oh, it's sorry. I thought because you were talking about there's an orange light back there, you thought my room was on fire.
No, I see what you're saying. It's their Room on Fire. Like, you take the first record, you kind of compact it a little bit, make it a little bit more deadly, but it's much and such the same, just kind of done to a better degree. Yeah,
but yeah. So like,
I do love that second Royal Blood album, to be fair.
Really?
Yeah, I really like it.
I prefer the first one. I think the first one's got a bit more honesty to it.
It's raw.
More grit. Yeah.
Reminds me of the first Starter Monkeys album.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. But yeah, that new one, I guess like nothing really stood out to me apart from like the singles maybe. And I like that they were trying something quite different, and they've gone this kind of disco funky vibe, I guess. But it didn't
LCD sound system kind of stuff.
There's
a few cowbells in there, isn't there?
Yeah, I guess. They've had cowbells for a while though, to be fair. I think. I remember a cowbell in the first album. Can't remember what song. I'm sure there is.
Sneaking in there.
I mean, you can always fit a cowbell in. Always.
I mean, they insist upon it.
No matter what anyone says, you can, whatever you're doing, you can fit a cowbell in.
Have you ever used a cowbell in a song?
Absolutely. The latest Weekend Debt recordings, I think Grant really wanted. It wasn't a cowbell. It was like one of the wooden blocks. It was like a wee.
I know what you mean. Yeah,
a wee rhythm. He wanted to include that, and I think he got Harvey to bring it to the studio, and then he brought it out, and Jamie just kind of turned around and was like, "Yeah, we'll think about it. Yeah, definitely put it on later base. You know, it's not priority right now." And Grant's like, yeah, do this bit, and it goes, I can't even remember what part it was or what song, but it's something where it goes like do something like that. Terrible description.
That sounds like an iPhone jingle.
Just made out of. I really can't remember what this one was called. Some kind of wooden block thing. You know, you get that.
Mean,
yeah, you get that box in primary school in music that just has all those random percussion instruments. Everyone just picks them up and whacks them, just.
And that captured
loud.
Your musical imagination from the get-go.
Yeah.
As soon as you got hold of that box, you were off.
Yeah. I reckon that's how it started for Grant. He's always wanted to put cowbell in.
That's why he's coming back to it. He's kind of chasing that childhood dream. Like it's his rosebud.
Yeah. That's where it stems from. Must be.
When were you last in with them? In the studio?
What was that? 2-3 weeks ago? It was, I mean, as with everything, it was continuously delayed. We had to delay, I think, because it was maybe meant to be like the end of last year.
Well, you were supposed to go into the studio in April 2020, I remember.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that was the first delay. I remember you were supposed to go in, and then, because I remember speaking to Callum when the first lockdown happened, and he was like, maybe we'll get in a few weeks, if we're lucky. No, not a chance. I think I knew that wasn't going to happen as well. I think everyone knew. Yeah, so that was the first delay. So there's maybe been 3 or 4 times we had to reschedule. And then, like, they had to move studio as well because originally we were recording in Lo-Fi with Jamie, and then they lost that because Lo-Fi shut down.
Has anyone taken that over yet? What's the story?
Can't comment on that. No idea. I think the guy just sold the building. I don't know what it's being used for.
I mean, that put a lot in cover though, didn't it? People kind of just ditched their...
Realizing they're not going to make any money from that and selling it for parts, basically.
Like an old car.
Yeah.
Like an old banger.
You should do more of that accent. That should be your thing.
Mate, I don't know what that accent was.
It was like a really bad Cockney accent, I think. It could definitely become a running theme for you.
I've been thinking of it. Maybe that's what I should do to spice it up to kind of end this creative drought, is bring in some characters.
Oh, now you're talking. That's really going to open it up. You've got so many avenues to go down. Do you know, I was thinking when I come on this, like, do I put on a radio voice? You know, do I change my accent?
Though? What would your radio voice be?
Oh, now you've put me on the spot. I don't know.
Oh, well, see if you heard the first podcast intros. There was an attempt of a 17-year-old Alex Matthew trying to do a radio voice that...
Really? What's your radio voice?
I don't know. I don't know what a radio voice... I just speak normal. I think that's part of the shtick now, isn't it? That's just supposed to be a conversation.
I guess, yeah. I don't know, because you can go like soft, and you can speak like you're telling the news on Radio 4. Or you can be upbeat and like all these like American podcasters and influencers, and they're like, "What's up, guys?" You know, that kind of thing. I'm not going to do that again. Don't worry, I won't bring that.
Zane Lowe kind of pioneered that, or not pioneered that rather, but I remember Radio 1 used to be very like everyone would just speak. It was all kind of normal talking voice, shipping forecast, and then you get this Aussie guy that comes in who's just shouting. He's standing up.
Yeah, fair enough. I'd say Jack Saunders is one of the ones that sounds the most energetic, for sure.
Maybe a little too energetic sometimes.
Too energetic.
You know me, Calvin. I like things to be a little bit dour and depressing.
I don't know. I
walk
think
into a room and I sense that someone's happiness is at an 8.3. I'm like, mate,
you need to bring it down.
take it down to a 5 point.
You'll focus on
maybe.
them.
Yeah. I'll hone it. I'll try and bring them down.
You bring people on the podcasts that you know are happy and enjoying life. You just want to bring them down a step.
I trick them. I like to talk about all the things that they feel comfortable with, and then I sideswipe them with something they feel very uncomfortable about.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait for the next hour.
Mate,
I wonder what.
I know exactly what I'm going to use to take you down.
I'm actually scared. That's pretty threatening.
It's your Dizzy Rascal story.
My Dizzy Rascal story. Oh, we'll talk about that soon.
Boy, will we.
No, I was going to say, you sound more energetic now. I wouldn't say you sound overtly energetic.
Now, isn't it this specific moment when we're podcasting, or in general now that I'm further into the podcast?
No, as in like your podcasts now compared to episode 1.
Oh, mate, they were fucking atrocious. I listened back to it was the one with Carlos Dengler. Like, that was only like in January, February.
Uh-huh.
And I am so flat the whole fucking show. Like,
flat as in dull and dry.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the issue is as well, though, is that, and this is what's going to be interesting then when we start doing them in person again, is that I'm talking to a Zoom screen like we're doing now.
Yeah, okay.
And it's a lot harder, because I can't lie. That's part of the problem, is that I can't put on that fake radio voice.
Yeah.
It just sounds weird if I try and do that, so it needs to be genuine. And when you're talking through a Zoom screen, it's a lot harder to do that. But I think when we go back to doing them in person, that'll keep kind of going up, that expression.
Uh-huh. Yeah. You find it easier to connect in person rather than, or like kind of get more honest answers out of people, or get the conversation going and flowing.
Yeah, because it's a lot easier to kind of just make that direct kind of connection, for lack of a better term.
I feel like people are in different boats on that, because some people are enjoying this online aspect of it and not actually having to face people and talk to people in person.
I was, but I feel like I've hit a wall with it.
Yeah.
Similar to what we're speaking about, that kind of creative stasis, I just feel like I've got to a point where I want to be in a room with people again.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I guess I'm the same. I guess some things I could deal with it being online still. And then other things, you need that like social community and in person. Obviously, everything to do with music, you need to be with people to really excel.
It'll be interesting to see if those Summer Nights go ahead, because so that could really be the kind of focal point of when the musical community gets back together after all of this.
Yeah, because I guess that's one of the first things planned back, isn't it? Is that August?
I think it's August, yeah. It's the month. They've done it a little bit shorter this year, I think, haven't they?
Yeah. Well, we're doing a Dutch wine show for 4 through 2, and that's like their endless summer showcase thing, which I think it's the same idea, like just a bunch of nights.
I think we were supposed to do one of them last year. There was going to be a vintage one.
Oh, really?
In 2020, when it still looked like there was going to be a summer.
Yeah.
I can't remember who was in the lineup for that. We booked it. I think Fauna were a headline or something. I can't remember. They're doing the Tuts one now, though, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they are.
It's weird looking back, like all these kind of plans that were once upon a time going to be a reality are now kind of just things that you forget about.
I love seeing how many times you've had to reschedule your, like, what was it, the Milk Show and the Vloer Show.
Oh, that Vloer Show can fuck off, man. I'm glad that's behind me.
I mean, not just you, but like seeing people's like tours and gigs get rescheduled constantly. So like I got tickets for Foals at Christmas 2019, and I'm now not seeing them until April 2022 because of how many times it's been rescheduled and pushed back.
It's only been pushed back twice, though, because remember the first time they pushed it back a year and everyone said, oh, they're crazy, pushing it back a year to spring 2021. Of course, you're going to happen in the autumn. And then changed again. Yeah, because it was meant to be April 2020 originally. They were on the Transmit bill as well, weren't they?
Were they?
They almost definitely were. They were second from the top, I'm pretty sure.
I can't remember that. I can't even remember the Transmit lineup for this
They were
year.
on the Saturday, I think.
Right.
Man, I just want a proper Scottish music festival back again.
Yeah.
I never got to Tea in the Park.
No, neither did I. I never went to Tea in the Park either. And I'll regret it to this day.
I wasn't. When did Tea in the Park finish?
2016 maybe?
Yes, I would have been 15, so it's like, I didn't even really have the year after that, I probably would have. The first time I went to Transmit was 2018.
Was that not the first year? Or was it 2017?
2017 was first year. Radio.
Yeah, I went to that
in 1975.
Biffy.
The View, I think, played that as well, didn't they?
Probably. I don't really remember, actually.
I was why.
really gutted at Radiohead because for some reason where we were standing, the sound was atrocious. And like, I thought it was just, I thought it was like for everyone. I was like, why is nobody complaining about this? Like, this sounds terrible. But it must have just been where I was standing and I had a bad spot or something, but it ruined like half of it for me. There was bits and songs where I was like, there should be something happening there, and I can see Johnny playing the guitar. Yeah, I can see Johnny playing the guitar. I can see him playing the part, and nothing's coming through. It was really weird.
We had the same thing. We went to see the Strokes in Spain. Mm-hmm. We were kind of like 6 feet from the barrier right at the front.
At Benicassim?
No, it was a BBK.
Oh, right.
But yeah, the sound was dog shit. I think there's something about when you get that close to it, you just can't quite get that.
Well, it just becomes too distorted, or?
Yeah, it's just all a muddy kind of mush.
Yeah, yes.
Where were you though? What was going on with you?
I think we were stood... Well, that's why I was confused as well, because I think we were stood pretty close to where the sound desk was set up. So I thought, I mean, this is where the sound guy's standing. This will be the best spot. This is where he's like making the sound happen.
He's standing there with his little in-ears in.
Yeah, and it was shit. I really don't know what. Maybe it was like just the set of speakers that we were standing next to, and I don't remember it happening for any of the other like headliners or main stage acts. So I don't even know if it was a Radiohead thing, but yeah, it was pretty annoying, and that's the only time I've seen.
With you.
Yeah, that's what it is. He hates me. Have you not seen that tweet?
What tweet?
Tom York tweeted, I fucking hate Calvin Smith.
Who retweeted? That's what I want to know.
Lots of people.
Calvin
I think Morrissey was in there.
Nah, Morrissey would definitely be on your side for obvious reasons.
Do you think?
Yeah.
For obvious reasons. What? Because my second name's Smith.
Is his second name Smith?
No, but he was in a band called The Smiths. So we got to stick together. Morrissey like is his second name, isn't it? Morrissey is his second name.
I don't know what his fucking name is.
I'm sure it's like he's Stephen Morrissey or something.
Yeah, Stephen James Morrissey.
Oh, see, you do
Stephen
know.
Clive Morrissey.
Okay, now I feel like you're just making it up.
Oh, what were you saying about? I cut you off earlier on about
you've cut this conversation is trailed right off. This went from when were you last in the studio with Weekend
Deck? I was going to come back to it. Yeah.
I was going to say that, but I was also just enjoying the tangents we were going off on.
This is why I wanted to do this. This is what I was saying at the start, because I'm bored with it. I just wanted to have you on to just have a conversation where we kind of just free ramble and go in all sorts of interesting different directions.
Right. What everyone wants to hear. Two white guys talking about absolutely nothing.
Yeah, mate, we've got to keep up with the 93% white guy policy that I have on the podcast.
Yeah.
You think I'm joking, but I worked that out. That's true. That's factually accurate.
Is it?
Yeah, fucking...
So you got to sort that out.
I tried back in... I remember when we did the first 50 podcasts and there was only 2 women were on it.
Uh-huh.
I emailed like 60 female acts to try and fix that balance, and fucking none got back. So it's like, I think when you're in this position when you don't really have any clout, you've kind of just got to take what you can get, and then when you get to a position of a platform, then you can be held accountable for not giving equal voice, if that makes sense.
Fair enough. Well,
but you were in the studio with Weekend Deck.
I was in the studio with Weekend Deck. So that got delayed like 4 times. The most recent delay was because it was literally we're going in Saturday and Sunday, I think it was. And then someone in Grant's work got COVID. He had to isolate. So he literally had to cancel a day before.
Did he have COVID?
He didn't know. He's actually isolating again now, which is really funny. So that's like
Very
2 times in. Very grand, yeah. He's just lazy, he's lying. He just loves these 10 days off at a time.
You seen it on TikTok, he's been pouring vinegar on the COVID test to get it to come back a false positive.
Is that how it's done?
You not seen that in like schools in England?
I've not, no.
They
I'll
put
use
like
that.
vinegar on the COVID test and then the whole class gets like 2 weeks off.
That's pretty
Because
funny.
it comes back positive.
These kids, man, they're innovative. They've got a lot of character about them. With all their faults, they know how to fuck the system. They're figuring it out.
They're flying
That's
the
what you
flag
need.
for the revolution as they pour their vinegar on the COVID test.
Yeah. So 21st century. You said that to someone 20 years ago, they'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? What's TikTok? What's COVID? What the hell is vinegar? Was vinegar about 20 years ago?
We just put gruel on our chips. Gruel or Bovril?
Bovril. I'd try it.
You never a fan of Bovril at a footy game? That's what
no.
I miss, the pies at the Aberdeen FC.
Oh, really?
Out of everything that COVID has taken from me,
Uh-huh. You missed the
it's
pies.
the Pataudry pies.
That's, I guess, each to their own. I mean, I'm sure you can still get a good pie somewhere.
Who are you, a proud Partick Thistle supporter?
Yeah, I lived in Maryhill for 2 years. Partick Thistle and proud.
I feel like
I
you'd be
used to-
quite close to Livingston. Were you Falkirk?
Yeah, well, yeah, my mum and dad, Falkirk. So Falkirk.
Or Livingston,
No, because Callum's a Livingston supporter, isn't he?
supposedly.
Yeah, so, yeah. It's all a
So he
lie.
says.
So no, I don't want to be a Livingston supporter because clearly, if there's something wrong if Callum's supporting them. God bless you. God bless you. He's recovering from COVID as well.
Mate, he got hit with it hard, I think, didn't
Yeah,
he? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, he said
sounded
he
pretty
was
bad.
pretty unwell. So that's like 90% of my friends that have had COVID or had to isolate, and here I am living in the free world, man.
Have you
I'm
had
out
it?
there. Nope, not had it. Not had to isolate. I'm out there, every day trying to
Spitting on
get it.
people, like the ninth wave.
Yeah, I'm yeah, trying to get
Have they
people
stopped
to.
doing that now?
Well, I don't think that's going to be a thing anymore, is it?
I think they should bring it back with a vengeance.
What was it? He had that. There was that Sleaze Kidneys song called "Spit on Me."
It's all a bit. Who was the guy that used to shit on stage again? G.G. Allen.
Yeah, does the guy from Fat White Family not?
Shit on stage. I'm probably just shoots up.
I'm sure I've heard things.
What's your greatest fear?
Open water. Yeah, I hate it. I can't do like I can be on a boat on the water if it's like a big enclosed boat. If I feel safe. See, like little speedboats and little dinghies and whatever. Can't do them. I'll be sick and I'll cry the whole time. So if you're looking to
If you're looking for
to
a
get
romantic padlock
yeah,
in the middle of the open water,
I'm the wrong guy. Can't do that.
you're
Other
terrified of
fears?
dolphins.
No, I'd love to see a dolphin. I'd love to hang out with one.
The ocean's
it's
clowns.
the ocean's clowns. Is that what they are?
That's what Lenny said, and then he got mauled by them
Really?
in the Simpsons episode where the dolphins take over the.
Oh, right. Yeah. I did think for a second you said Lemmy.
Not Lemmy.
I was like, what, did he die from a dolphin attack? I'm pretty sure it was like cancer or something. I'm sure I would have heard about that. No, like the ocean interests me massively, but
the
I wouldn't-
Mariana Trench.
I don't know that.
It's the
Don't know that one.
deepest. What is it? 5 miles deep?
Oh, right.
But then they
Okay.
don't know what's at the bottom of it
Yeah.
because they can't.
Yeah,
get
that's
down there.
that's the scary part as well. Like how little they've actually covered of
I
the
like
entire
that.
ocean.
I like the fact that we don't know everything that's going on here, and there's a lot
Yeah,
of stuff
no,
that's still undiscovered about the world.
I like it, but it also absolutely terrifies me. It's a very, very grey area for me,
I'm pretty sure we know more about the universe than what's in our oceans.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that's a statistic, yeah.
It doesn't surprise me, yeah.
What do you reckon? There's a megalodon lurking around down there?
Yeah, that would be cool. Maybe maybe a couple of T-Rexes. Maybe that's all that happened is dinosaurs they saw the meteors and they were like, right, ocean. Now, we'll figure it out once we're there. Like, it'll be fine. Let's just do it. Find a spot. And they're just they nested down there.
That's what crocodiles are.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure there probably is some relation there as well. I'll need to watch some more documentaries after this. Find out if crocodiles are. There was a thing my old flatmate Louis told me. I'm sure I remember this big argument going on in our friend group, and it was something. Don't quote me on this. This could be very wrong. It was something like
ducks. On a podcast, mate. So you're going to be quoted.
Don't record this part. This is off the record. It was like ducks are related to dinosaurs or crocodiles, something like that. I'm going to need to do some research. I'm going to need to do some ducks. Maybe it's not ducks.
No, it is because they're all birds.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe there is truth to it then.
Like they reckon that velociraptors were feathered and stuff.
Oh, really?
Mate, you don't know half of it.
I clearly don't. Sorry, I forgot I was talking to Mr. Jurassic Park over here.
Oh, I remember I watched all through the Jurassic Park films when I was tripping last summer in lockdown.
Really?
Madness.
I
didn't know what was going on.
That is a bold move. Yeah. They're scary enough as it is.
That first film holds up. I reread the book recently as well, actually, which is pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Did you ever get into those, like the Crichton books?
No. Don't think so.
He's kind of like Stephen King, in the same way that he writes in that page-turning fashion.
Yeah.
But it's all kind of rooted in science.
Yeah.
It's okay, yeah. He's written a lot of kind of cool stuff, though. But he always kind of picks a topic. Like, I think the last one he wrote before he died was about genetic engineering.
Okay.
And where we're kind of going with that and how we can, design our babies and all that jazz.
Yeah. I watched a documentary on that, Netflix one, recently, talking about like the morals behind it. And
do you think there's a
whole conversation.
Is there a question there with morals, do you think?
Well, I think it's the debate is whether like people will abuse it and the disparity between who has access to it. And obviously it'll start off like the rich are the only ones that get to use it, and then they'll it's kind of advantageous to them and not to anyone else. It's pretty interesting, but I don't know enough. I'm not planning on DIYing a baby.
I think that's something that's going to go within our lifetime, though. Like giving birth. I think that's going to be gone. I think we're just going to
I think it's going to be gone.
Oh, 100%.
20 years. No one's going to be giving birth.
Within our lifetime.
Right.
100% within the next 30 years, births will be over. You'll fucking grow them in test tubes. 100%.
I'll hold you to that.
Mate, I'm full of my Nostradamus-esque predictions.
Yeah. I guess you could just make as many predictions as you want. And I guess if you base them off some kind of truth, one of them's going to turn out to be factual eventually. And then you seem like a genius.
I'll be dead. I won't have to worry about the repercussions.
Yeah, exactly.
But you were in the studio with Weekend.
No, I don't even want to go back to that anymore. Let's continue on this. I think on each podcast episode, you should make a claim or make up a conspiracy theory or make a prediction. And eventually, if you get enough in there, something's going to come true and you're going to seem like a genius. So Weekend it. So we went in to do 2 songs 2-3 weeks ago. We ended up having to split it into 2 separate weeks, doing a Sunday and then a Sunday again 2 weeks later because there was so much rescheduling.
And it's Lord's Day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're not meant to play music on the Lord's Day.
But you're rebels, so you go against it.
Yeah, because rock and roll, that's what we do.
You're Satanists.
Yeah, that's where the kind of power was coming from. The what's the word? The influence. We were channeling that satanic spirit.
You were channeling Lucifer himself.
Yeah,
may say.
I'm sure you'll be able to tell that in Grant's vocals as well. He's really pushing that kind of vibe. Really
He
got
does
the
have a
devil.
devilish charm.
Oh, that was cute. That was pretty nice. I'm sure he'll love hearing that.
Grant
Are you
will listen to this.
Are you flirting with Grant Scott?
Oh, definitely.
We can get him on.
Never. Grant's
won't be
banned
doing
from the
anything else.
podcast.
Is he? That's cool.
Yeah, I was Holocaust denying. I just couldn't allow it.
Oh, I forgot about that. The Holocaust 9 and the hate speech about Americans.
What hate
That whole
speech?
rant he went. Oh yeah, he does it all the time. He's got a new nation that he's hating on each week. It's horrible. He's a horrible guy to be around. Honestly, you don't want to be. Well, obviously, like you've done interviews with him before. Seems like a lovely guy on stage. You know, he's got that charm, that charisma. Once the door's shut, man, that guy's evil.
He's volatile.
Yeah, like he really is channeling Satan. The things he says are, I don't even want to think about them, let alone repeat them.
Is he speaking in tongues?
Yeah,
Like David
certainly.
Byrne?
Like David Byrne.
I'm intrigued by the fact that you're in how many bands?
2.
Oh, I thought it was 3. Fuck.
Sorry. I guess at one point it was 3.
Oh, because you had Calm's band. Danny was in it.
Yeah. Who else? One more guy. Maybe a guy I live with.
Seamus.
There you go.
It was called Amsterdam or some shit. I can't remember.
If that's what you want it to be, that's fine.
It wasn't Amsterdam.
Anaconda.
Anaconda.
Terrible name.
Why?
All band names are terrible. I came to this realization: every band name is shit, but that's okay because all of them are shit.
Do you think they are, or do you just think they age poorly?
No, I just think all band names are stupid and mean nothing and are shit. I have no reason to think that, but I do.
What about Imagine Dragons?
Dreadful. I can imagine them, no problem.
It sounds a bit like the Wiggles, doesn't it?
The Wiggles.
The Wiggles,
do you know what?
Imagine Dragons.
The Wiggles is pretty good. The Wiggles is up there with one of the best. No, but I guess the problem with picking a band name is it either, majority of the time it means nothing and comes from nothing. Like Weekend Debt and Dutch Wine, they're both just words put together.
No, Weekend Debt makes sense because at the end of the weekend you have debt.
Well, yeah. See, I think Harvey concocted the story after.
Paints a picture of a scenario.
Paints a picture. That was said with a lot of enthusiasm.
I'm going about Craig Ferguson.
I went on a bit of a streak of not wanting to listen to any bands with "the" in their title. Just overdone.
The. That's a good band name, though.
Yeah, that's a double negative.
I like that band.
It cancels it out.
It's nice.
I mean, I do and I don't. I guess it's if you don't care about any
That's
sort
a double negative. I do and I don't.
yeah. You don't care about any accessibility or easiness.
That was
You don't
before
want
the
it to
age
be
of
a single
Google and
note.
stuff, though. You could have a cool
Yeah.
band name and it didn't matter.
What about that band name that's just the 3 exclamation marks?
Check.
Yeah.
Great
Just
band,
kind
though.
of-
Great band.
Very good band. But it
Bit of
just
the
kind of
podcast.
annoys me.
Podcast Alumni.
They were on the podcast.
Episode 46.
Oh, shit. I'll need to go back and listen to that. No hate, guys, if you're listening. Love the band, but shit name.
I think that's a great name pre-internet era.
Yeah. I guess it leaves a lot of mystery, doesn't it?
But I think as well because what they used to frame it as was you could say it as any 3 like vowels kind of cut up.
Yeah.
Like chick, just whatever you wanted.
Yeah.
I like that kind of interpretation of it.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know what? I was listening to the new Tyler the Creator record today.
I haven't listened to it yet. Is it good?
Maybe my favorite album of the year so far.
Really? Nice.
But that's a great name to give yourself.
It's pretty cool. It's got a
Basically,
lot of
Tyler the
charisma
God,
about it.
Tyler the Creator.
Yeah. Got a lot of charisma about it. And it suits him as well, I think.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
Yeah. It fits the vibe. Like, it makes sense. There's another one that makes sense, you know?
Kanye West. Makes sense.
Does it? What's his real name?
Kanye West.
I lost all hope for celebrities when I found out Bruno Mars is called Peter. You know, it's like finding out Santa Claus isn't real.
What's his last name? Where is he from? Is he Cuban?
Yeah, I think it's South American. I'm not too sure. I think the second half of his name is pretty cool. It's like Peter Gabriel Hernandez or something. Pretty slick.
Peter Gabriel.
Gabriel. I didn't even realize. Maybe I'm just making that up. I can't remember.
You're tapping into your subconscious, man.
Yeah. Clearly, I just need to go and listen to Peter Gabriel. But yeah, when I found out now I'm just typing in Peter Gabriel. I'm meant to be typing in Bruno Mars. Peter Gene Hernandez, sorry.
That's a shit name.
I know, Gene Hernandez is kind of cool.
Sounds like a trainer. Like the guy that's in the gym.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, when I found out he was called Peter, that really, it stung. You know, it hit me in the heart. But having said that, big fan of the guy. I am a Bruno Mars advocate. We were actually just talking about him at dinner tonight.
You're all about that doo-wops and hooligans.
Oh yeah. Oh, what an album. What a pop record, man.
I've definitely got a couple of his albums on CD from when I was like 8 years old somewhere.
Yeah. I've got doo-wops on CD. Nothing else other than that, to be fair. I don't have that.
That's all you need.
What was it? Yeah. That's the one. What's that? It's got Count on Me on it. And Talking to the Moon.
What about Unorthodox Jukebox? Get a bit of Gorilla going.
Yeah, that was the other one. It's got Lazy Song on it, doesn't it? I never really liked Lazy Song. Today I don't feel like doing anything. Do. That one.
That's a go fuck yourself song. Like when you hear that, you just want to tell the person who wrote it to go fuck themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that song. But also, come on the podcast.
Yeah, if you want.
Are you getting them for the 200 special? Oh no, you've got Kylie Minogue lined up for that, don't you?
Kylie Minogue lined up for the 200 special.
Miss Australia herself.
Nah, this podcast would definitely have Danny. We'd get the kind of lower budget version.
Lower budget? Oh, she's not going to come on now if you said that. Absolutely not.
I feel like I don't know. I'll probably undercook that. I feel like I undercooked episode 100. I didn't think anything of it. And then I remember you messaged me and a few other people messaged me being like, who's going to be episode 100? And I was like, I have not thought anything about this. I'm just putting out another episode.
It's just numbers to a name. That's all I am.
I did like that Dan Kroll episode. It was an enjoyable conversation, but I didn't put any kind of grand thought behind it.
I guess the whole point of these episodes, though, is that it's not like a big deal about them. It's just like you record them and you put them out. Like what you said about like your kind of the way you market and promote is almost by not doing it.
Yeah. I feel like it's interesting. Like when I look at anything I've ever done creatively, it's always a process of kind of starting off more produced and then going back to being more refined and more raw and just kind of cutting all the fat out.
Yeah.
Like if you look at this now, it's an intro and then it's the podcast and then it's closing music. There's nothing else to it. And it just feels, I think that when we start doing the film stuff as well, it's going to kind of continue into that. The plan is just to do it pretty unedited. I think there's scope to do something like that. I kind of almost what Joe Rogan did, where he kind of took over the market with his free-flowing conversations, but for music. Because he has a very kind of particular, he's about him. He's got his own brand. Whereas this is more about the guest. It's just completely about the guest. There's no vintage society kind of fan base, if you will.
Yeah.
It's all about who's coming on the show.
So you think it's more of like a coming and going thing?
I think all music sites are like that. I looked up today because I was out of interest. I looked up what the kind of biggest music sites in the UK had done numbers-wise so far this year. Mm-hmm. I think the reflection of that, like Dork, for example, you'd think of them as one of the biggest music sites in the UK.
Yeah.
125,000 views in the first 6 months of this year on their site.
I mean, is that pretty small? And
Joe Rogan put out a video today where they were talking about wild boars in Texas. And in 9 hours...
Classic Joe Rogan.
And in 9 hours, that did 135,000 views.
Wow.
In 9 hours, that did more views than Dork has done in its entire year. I think it's I think any of these organizations, even out with music, what you perceive to be your brands, I think it's a lot more valuable than it used to be. I think it's very much coming and going, and it's based upon who is on, and who's being interviewed.
And I mean, as well with like the coming and going thing, like different trends happen so quickly nowadays. It's hard to keep up, and like if you're not changing with the trends, then there's going to be a point where you kind of lose that. You lose that popular mainstream fan base,
But then that's where I think people or organizations like where we're at have a position to capitalize upon that, because we don't need to be a part of those trends.
Yeah,
we can exist out with them, and then we can just grab from them and pull those people from those trends onto the podcast, and it's always relevant.
Smart. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
I think if you remove yourself from the equation and just exist as something on the outer sphere of it, it's a lot easier to achieve longevity than being immersed within
essentially think of it as a platform more than anything else.
100%. This is why I was talking about you, because I don't know if people know, but you help out with like the social media and stuff now and all that jazz. But it's about speaking to you about the week with user interaction.
Yeah.
In this idea of you need to try and get users more interactive than they are on YouTube and try and create the sense of community. That's why Twitter, that's why Instagram, that's why these platforms flourish, is through people interact. It's a two-way, it's a reciprocal thing. I think that's part of the problem with a lot of these platforms, whether it be reading or whether it be listening. It's very one way. It's coming at you. You're not giving anything back to it.
Yeah.
In order to create a tangible connection, you need people to give to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll comment. Like if you look on YouTube, whatever, that's what comments are.
Yeah.
It's a community. It's people interacting with it. That's what I think journalism at large needs to try and focus on and link into.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's dying. Because it's not.
Yeah.
Who wants to read a fucking Guardian article? It's like you're not getting anything back from it.
There's it needs to be like a two-way thing, like you said.
It needs to be reciprocal, 100%. But it's difficult. Like I don't know how you do that. I can ask that question, but I have no idea how, from a journalistic point of view, you create that tangible connection. It's hard.
You can understand the problem, but it's actually like executing the solution that is the hard part.
Well, because arguably Twitter has already fixed it.
Yeah.
If we're looking at it in the context of journalism, something happens where was that explosion last year? Was it Lebanon? Remember that massive kind of nuclear blast?
Yeah, I think so.
Within 5 minutes, that's on Twitter of it happening and everyone's commenting on it. That's that interaction going back and forth. But it's like, how do you take that away from that platform, almost decentralize it, but also regulate it so that it's factual?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a conundrum. You can't really do both.
Yeah, that's where it becomes a bit of a grey area, a bit of a problem.
I think VR will probably bring something in that will kind of sort it out, though.
Are you a VR advocate?
In what sense?
I don't know. Do you like it? Do you have a VR headset?
I don't, but I mean, that's where it's going, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. That
100%. Like, I mean, what's going to happen is AI is going to come in and take all the jobs to a certain extent within the next 40, 50 years.
I mean, that's been happening for a while anyway.
It's going to get worse. I mean, teachers are going to go, nurses will go, accountants will go.
Shop workers.
Yeah, it's all going to go. And then at what point we're going to need to bring in some sort of universal
regulation
basic income.
for it. Yeah.
Some form of universal basic income, but that won't pay enough. I mean, the current plan they've drafted up for that is like $5,500 a year per person. At which point, people aren't going to want to live in this world if that's what they're getting paid.
Yeah.
So they're going to hop somewhere else. And then that'll become the new kind of frontier. It's the same as going to Mars. We've fucked this world. We just need to find another way to leave behind.
I'm on my way to Mars. Yeah, I've been working with the guys.
You're on Elon Musk's little space shuttle.
Yeah, I've been working with the guys over at SpaceX.
That's another issue, though, privatizing space travel. Like,
yeah.
Is that a good shout?
Is privatizing anything?
If this is the issue, because if you want it to excel and you need it to push forward, privatizing probably is the way to go about it. But in the long run, not such a great idea.
This conversation has become a very different thing in the last 20 minutes.
Since I went on to the fifth beer.
Yeah. Oh, it's always the fifth. Always the fifth beer. You just enter Elon Musk, AI, privatization.
I am usually that's one of the issues. That's maybe why I think that the podcast has gone a little bit stale because there's no real catharsis on it from my point of view.
In what way?
I'm not really giving much to it. I'm always just prompting something from another person, which I don't have a problem with. But if that's your main creative outlet, there's a lack of getting back from it in a direct sense.
I see. What you want more of a. You feel it's not as two-way a lot of the time.
I don't think I get much back from it in a direct emotional sense. But then even doing something like this every couple of weeks,
yeah,
where it's more of an open dialogue and it's just kind of chatting back and forth, would probably do that. Maybe that's something I need to do.
I'd say you've spoken more than me, to be honest.
In the last 20 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, maybe in the last 20 minutes. You've had more to say.
That's because I've hit the fifth beer.
Whereas my chamomile and honey tea is just, I'm just slowing down.
I mean, do you think about this kind of stuff? What sort of stuff is kind of perpetuating through the mind of Calvin J. Smith?
Oh, I don't know. That's a tough question. You're essentially asking me, what am I thinking?
What troubles you, though? Like we were talking about AI there. We're talking about kind of going to Mars. What's the sort of stuff that's on your mind that plagues you, that troubles your daily existence?
Oh, I worry about everything, to be honest. I'd say I'm a worrier. I'm a worrying guy.
Have you always been?
Maybe not as much. I'm definitely nowadays more on the edge, but I think that's also because you become more aware and more. I guess it's that question you've asked before, like optimism or pessimism, and I think you just end up falling into one of the categories, and I seem to have fallen into pessimism a lot of the time. But then that's also where I get a lot of my creativity and relief from, is a lot of it flows from that view of reality and the world, which then, as that comes out through music, is the release, and it kind of goes against that, and that's where it makes me feel better.
Your belief is pessimistic, but through creating, you become optimistic.
Yeah, I guess that's a much easier way of putting it. That happens just pretty naturally. I think a lot of music actually comes from pessimistic people turning that point of view into optimism, as you said.
I think if you question things, you're naturally pessimistic.
Right.
Do you not think? I think if you start picking apart you start picking apart things at the seams,
right,
it's going to fall apart a little bit, and you're going to become a little bit embittered and pessimistic.
But then doesn't everyone question things?
No, 100% no.
Do you?
Yeah, but I mean, I go out for pints with people in Aberdeen, and I'm like, these people don't. They question things. No, that makes me sound like a prick. They question things on their daily.
A pretentious wanker.
They definitely question things on a daily level, but
not to an extent where it becomes a problem.
I'm very existential, and there's no existential shit going on there.
Mm-hmm.
It's why does it? They question things in terms of why does this girl not like me? Not what's the fucking point of life?
Yeah. Okay. I see. I guess you do get people who just kind of roll through life the
majority, I reckon, 100%.
Nonchalantly. See, yeah, it's hard to tell because,
but it's the same. It's the same emotional distress. It's just different. We worry about, why are we here? What's the point? What happens afterwards? They worry about, am I going to have a wife? Are my kids going to be safe? Am I going to have a good job? It's the same emotional distress. It's the same value. It's just different. It's two sides of the same coin.
So you think that doesn't make them pessimistic?
Not for the most part, because those things have answers to a certain extent.
Well, they do and they don't. That question you're saying, oh, am I going to find love? Am I going to end up alone? That's a very worrying thing for like the majority of people, I think.
It's also rigged against you because it's not supposed to last for 70 years.
Yeah, I know. But that's that's what society has come to believe, isn't it? Or, well, maybe not so much anymore.
Has come to believe what?
That that is the natural kind of grain of life. You know, you're a child and you learn and you grow up and then you find love and you settle down and you have a happy life. Whereas, as you're saying, it's not as simple as that. But surely, like, them having that view or them having that question is just as pessimistic as some of the questions we may ask ourselves, even if that's not something that we worry about.
But in most cases, the people asking that question likely have it, I think.
Right. So you think it's when people are already have kind of obtained that?
I'm trying not to come across as condescending. That's what I'm struggling to do.
I don't think you are.
But it's very easy just to say that people who are a little bit less intelligent. It's not even intelligence, though. It's just the kind of...
It's a different way of life.
Difference in approach, yeah.
Yeah. It's just a totally different reality. Like, you're seeing the world through one window that's the same, but then you're seeing it through another that's totally different.
But it's interesting because when it comes to preference, I'd rather go for girls that have that kind of field of view.
Right.
Because you always go for people who have characteristics that you want, which makes it that I want that kind of simpler way of questioning things.
Right. So let me just sum up everything you've just said. You want to fall in love with someone who's much, much less intelligent than you. Is that what you said? Just to get that in writing, if we could sign that off.
Oh, man.
You're digging yourself a hole.
I don't want to commit to that on a podcast.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
What about you, Calvin?
What about me? Go on.
What are you for? What do you look for?
Ask me the deep question.
What do you look for in another?
In a partner, I look for...
well, you have a partner, so you have a kind of...
I do.
A template to go off of.
Weird calling her a partner. She's just my girlfriend. Partner makes it sound... I don't know, partner has, I think, odd connotations sometimes. Not in a bad way.
And then people say partner to desexualize it though, don't they?
Yeah, I think so. Which is not a bad thing.
But I grew up with partner being your dad's mate who had a girlfriend for 20 years, but they never got married.
Yeah. I grew up with partner being the guy you do your science project with. You know? Very different meanings. I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. I'm definitely more towards like picking up on personality first. Like, as in, you know, some people have a type in terms of looks. You know, you get the guys that go on Love Island. They're like blonde hair, blue eyes, funny, and it's just like three kind of common denominators, and most of it is to do with like appearance.
You just described my type, mate.
Really? I don't think I have a type in terms of appearance, but I'd say the type.
I don't think you decide your type though.
No, you don't.
And that's something you get labeled on you, and then you look back and you're like, I hate myself.
Yeah, this is why I'm saying. This is why I'm saying you've really got to psychoanalyze yourself. You really got to dig deep, because it's not. You don't like. I mean, the same with sexuality. You don't really choose it, and it's hard to understand how it's come about.
So you don't think about it on a conscious level. You just go with your gut.
Oh yeah, definitely. I wouldn't like, if I was on a date, I was like, oh, well, every girl I've dated has blonde hair, and you don't have blonde hair. That means I can't date you. You know, nothing to that extent at all. But I think that with friendships,
yeah,
and relationships, you don't ever think about it until maybe, you know, like obviously in hindsight, if I understand I don't get on with someone, and then the more I think about it, the more I'll be like, oh, it's because of this, and because they show this quality which I maybe don't like, and stuff like that. You know, once you dig deep, it makes sense. But on day-to-day life and forming relationships and meeting people, that's never at the forefront of my mind, I don't think. Because then you become a very judgy person as well, I think.
It's easy to do, though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think everyone obviously judges to an extent. Like, first impressions obviously mean something.
That bugs me, though.
Yeah, it is. Because I can be awkward in first impressions.
I think I'm very boring on first impressions.
Oh, don't worry. You're boring on second impressions as well.
Thanks, Calvin. When did I first
Sorry,
meet
that was
you?
too easy. You set me up. We met at a gig.
Was it the Anaconda gig?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Callum had brought you to it.
First impressions, go.
Quiet, because we didn't talk at all. Like, that's what my next thing was going to be. We
I
barely
just glared
met.
at you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You were giving me the devil eyes. We barely met because we didn't actually talk. The next time I met you after that was the Weekend It interview.
Right, first impressions there then.
Much different from the other night, because obviously this one, there's so much more conversation, much more
In the
talkative.
interview.
The interview is probably not that great. I don't really remember it.
Probably not in hindsight. If it was,
It was in Sleazy's.
and I was interviewing you.
Just in a back corner.
There's
with all
almost
that.
definitely music way too loud in it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything else apart from the talking is too loud. Definitely, I remember that. I'd say you gave a good first impression to me, if that's what you're asking.
Interesting. But then how would that compare upon how you actually perceive me now?
Not too much of a disparity. I think I just know you more as an actual person now, rather than a guy who's interviewing us. You know, not that that's all that I viewed you as, but I didn't expect us to be here now. I wasn't expecting longevity from that friendship or that relationship.
Neither was I, probably. But then I've done
Yeah, exactly.
I've probably done 600 interviews, and how many people have I actually stayed properly in touch with?
Yeah, you must have that with the majority of people. You don't expect it to be a thing for life, you know?
No.
But here we are, partners in crime. Partners, sorry, we're not meant to use that.
I always feel like I'm very boring on a first impression. I feel like I'm weirder.
You feel you're
as time
weird.
goes on. Not
Oh,
weirder,
you
but
get weirder.
a little bit more idiosyncratic.
Yeah, I see what you mean. But I mean, I could say that about a lot of people. Like, the more you learn about
You see the
someone,
unhinged side.
yeah, you see, okay, this guy's a bit weird. Obviously, there's a percentage of people that are dull and boring, and you get that on a first impression, and then nothing changes that.
See, that's how I feel like I come across in an interview setting.
Nah, I don't think so. Because as well, you've always asked interesting questions as in podcasts and interviews, and that's like a little window into your mind. I think the fact that your conversation is already interesting, given the boundaries that you're in, being an interviewer and time limits and whatever, having that window into your mind is good. It's a good thing for you. That sense kind of didn't really get put together very well, but I know what I'm saying in my head. You're not boring.
I find that interesting to view in context of what we were saying earlier as well, about how I've gotten a bit brighter and a bit more into it and animated, because I feel like my questioning was always ahead of my interviewing, if that makes sense.
As in,
I was always more eager to ask interesting questions, but in terms of my presenting style or my natural
it's the actual execution.
It's always behind.
Yeah. Well, but
even now, I think my interviewing and the questions I want to ask are always ahead of where I'm at as an interviewer and a presenter myself.
I'd feel I could say the same for music and creating music. Is I'm still finding it hard sometimes to execute the ideas that I want in my head, but it's like each time you're getting closer and closer, I think. But there's still, I think, as well, if you're always trying to better yourself, you're always going to be in that frame of mind, because you're going to keep thinking you can do better. You're in your head, you're just thinking of ways to improve. So you're always in your head, you're always going to be one step ahead, essentially.
What's the closest on execution has been to the idea?
I think a lot of the recent Dutch wine stuff we did, we went up to Inverness to record 6 songs in Luke's parents' little cottage, and we'd literally put blood, sweat, and tears into like dissecting these 6 songs and making sure every part made sense. Every part was how we wanted and imagined it to be. And I mean, it helps that we're all kind of on the same wavelength anyway. But then there was even points where me and Chris would have differing ideas about vocal lines and vocal melodies, and the fact we talked every single minute detail out and explained it, and you see it from each other's point of view. It really, really helped the final product, because you're not just seeing it from your own point of view, and it was already very collaborative initially, but going through it together, and like, even though I'm the one singing, all of us taking the melodies apart and going, okay, this is good, but you could do this here. And then, you know, there was so many things that changed along the way, even when we were actually recording it, that I think because we spent so much time on it, it really turned out how we wanted it to and how we imagined it initially.